Welcome to the Life Doula Podcast, where we talk about the things most people avoid: cancer, grief, dying, and the radical act of healing. Today's episode is not just for patients, but for anyone who loves someone living with cancer. Because here's the truth: modern medicine has come a long way. We have new protocols, regimen, and miracle drugs. But somewhere along the way, we forgot one thing. Patients are not just their physical bodies. They are whole people. And healing is not just about shrinking tumors. It's about holding the hand of someone who is scared. It's about sleep. It's about spiritual peace and food that nourishes, movement that restores, and the freedom to grieve and hope at the same time. So today we're pulling back the curtain on what cancer patients really want, because healing happens in more ways than one. Let's talk about when a patient knows that care becomes a checklist. I remember a client coming to me and really saying, I feel I need to talk to someone who really listens to me, because I feel that when I'm in front, some of my medical team, I can sense they are checking something. It's like a checklist. Allow me to begin by saying this with deep sincerity. I honor our doctors, medical oncologists, nurses, radiologists, and the medical team who show up every day to fight alongside patients. They are warriors in their own right. Their knowledge, their steadiness, their protocols, their experience, they save lives. And my doctor saved me. I've seen it. I've benefited from it. Many of us would not be here without them. But here's where it gets tender. For many cancer warriors I've had the privilege of walking beside, there comes a moment when the journey starts to feel less like care and more like a checklist. You show up, you get weighed, you get poked, scanned, infused, prescribed. You're told when to come back, what labs to do next, and what to watch out for. And then they send you home. And you go home exhausted. And then you do it again. Get poked, get weighed, get infused. And the hard part, no one is doing anything wrong. But somewhere in the repetition, in the efficiency, in the survival mode, it can start to feel like you are being processed, not held. Like you are a file being routed, not a person being seen. The questions that get asked and the ones that don't. It's as if the system is built to ask, what's your platelet count? How's your liver function? Are your vitals stable? But very rarely does it pause to ask, how's your heart holding up? Have you been able to sleep? What are you most afraid now? Is there anyone holding your hand through all of this? How is your spirit surviving this season of your life? These aren't questions that get reimbursed. They're not on the treatment protocol. But for many patients, they're the ones that matter the most. The system that wasn't built for the soul. The healthcare system all over the world, is not built for the soul. And that's the truth. The modern medical system was built for the body, not always for the soul. It was designed to detect tumors, not trauma. To measure progress in milligrams and centimeters, not in courage or meaning or hope. To prescribe medications and not always conversations. This isn't about blame. It's about balance. Because when care becomes just a checklist, something in the healing journey gets lost. And what patients long for is not just to be cured, but to be seen, to be looked in the eye, not just scanned, to be asked about their days, their dreams, not just the dosage, to be treated not just medically, but humanely. A lot of my patients say they feel like a number, not a person. This is a reflection on the emotional invisibility many patients carry in their silence. Some of the most powerful stories I've heard in my work didn't start with a dramatic diagnosis or a life or death emergency. They started quietly with a whisper of pain that didn't have a place to go. Not physical pain, but emotional pain. One cancer survivor once told me, I walked in the hospital with a name and with a story and a soul. But somewhere between the lab work, the infusion chair, the scans, I started to feel like just another chart, just another file in a white coat's hands. I feel like a number, not a person. And that moment stayed with me. You see, checklists don't catch loneliness. Modern medicine is a miracle. Every day we see something new. But even miracles have blind spots. Because while the system tracks your white blood cell count, tumor markers, your scan results, your progress photos, it doesn't track who cried alone in their car on their way home after an appointment. Who's pretending to be strong for their kids? Who's grieving the loss of the life they once had? Or who's too exhausted to ask for help? There's no box on the form that says, how's your soul today? Behind every patient ID is a life. Behind every medical ID band is a mother, a partner, a dreamer, a fighter. But when the pace of care is relentless and the system is stretched thin, patient starts to feel invisible. Many of them tell me, I didn't want to burden my doctor with my feelings. The nurse was kind, but I don't think she knew how scared I was. I felt like if I cried, I'd slow the whole system down. And so they don't say anything. They shrink their stories. They swallow their grief, smile through exhaustion, and quietly disappear on the background of their own lives. Why this matters? Because when you feel like a number and not a person, you're less likely to advocate for yourself. You downplay side effects. You accept suffering as part of the deal. And you stop dreaming about life after cancer. You start surviving, but to forget how to live. But patients deserve more than survival. They deserve wholeness. What if care wasn't just clinical, but compassionate? What if healing included holding space for stories, for silence, for soul work? What if we train our systems to ask, what matters to you today? Who's supporting you emotionally right now? How can we honor your humanity, not just your diagnosis? Because no one should have to feel like a statistic in their own story. What cancer patient wants is truth and compassion. Let's talk about something tender but necessary, the truth. When you're navigating a life-altering diagnosis like cancer, there's one thing patients deserve as much as they deserve care: honesty. But not the cold, clinical kind. The kind of truth that sits beside compassion, not in opposition to it. What many people don't realize is that most patients want to know the truth. Not just the what, but the why and the where this is going. They want to understand the goals of the treatment. Is the treatment to cure me or to prolong my life? To know if it's curative or palliative? To be given a realistic outcome and not false hope. To be told the hard things with heart. Because when a doctor says, we're doing everything we can, but doesn't explain the limits of what it means, it can feel like betrayal later. Honesty makes space for choice. Being honest isn't about giving up. It's about giving agency. Because when a patient understands the prognosis, the side effects, the trade-offs of treatment, they can make decisions with clarity. Maybe that decision is, let's go all in, let's fight with everything we got. Or maybe it's, I want to live the time I have left with peace, not pain. Either choice is valid. But they cannot choose if no one tells them the truth. Honesty without compassion, it wounds. Compassion without honesty, it deceives. But when both walk hand in hand, something sacred happens. The patient feels respected, not handled, not pitied, but trusted with the truth of their own life. And in that space, healing becomes possible. Not always cure, but always dignity. If you're a love giver or even a health professional listening in, I want to ask you this question. When was the last time you asked a patient not just what they want to fight for, but what they want to feel while they're fighting? So here's what I'll leave you with. In the end, cancer care isn't just about protocols. It's about people. Behind every chart is a child, a spouse, a daughter, a parent, a dreamer, a fighter. Behind every prognosis is a person trying to make sense of what life still holds. Truth matters. Compassion matters. But it's the combination of truth and compassion that heals. When we tell the truth with tenderness, when we hold space for grief, not just side effects, when we treat the patient, not just the tumor, that's when healing becomes human. So whether you're a healthcare provider, a love giver, or someone walking this road yourself, may you remember this. Healing isn't always a cure. Sometimes healing is feeling seen, heard, and honored as you are. If today's episode stirred something in you, a memory, a question, or even a quiet ache, know that you're not alone. This space is for you and every tender, messy, beautiful part of your healing journey. If this conversation gave you something to hold on to, please consider sharing it with someone who might need it too. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the Life Doula Podcast, so you never miss the stories that help us breathe a little deeper and hope a little more, please subscribe. Until next time, keep honoring your story, your body, and your becoming. Because healing is not a destination. It's a way of living.